Hello everybody. I wanted to do a little video about the probably the four main page builder that we have in WordPress. So I'm going to do a video and compare them all side by side. I'm going to build a part of a page, not the entire page, and I'm going to do it in each of them one after the other so that you can see the difference. Of course, this is my own opinion that I'm going to talk about here. I'm not as comfortable with all of them. Some of them I've just used a couple of times. Some of them I've used almost every day. So of course I'm more comfortable with them. So it might be a different experience that you have with them, of course. The four that I'm going to test: Elementor Pro, Thrive Architect, Divi, and Beaver Builder. First of all, I must say that I've used the Astra theme, so that's why I see that screen here. So Astra is a free theme, but I have also installed the Pro plugin to be able to have more control, more customization over the look of the font and the colors. The reason I did that is because I'm going to show it later on, but some builders have a lot of capacity in regards to change font size and put all capital letters and things like that for the overall page. Some others you need to do that one by one, and it's going to be a lot tedious. I also wanted to see the theme, the page builder that were inheriting the fonts and so on from the theme versus the one that overrides it. So what I did, I went to the customizer and I changed my a couple of settings, not a lot of them, just the colors here for the base color for the links and the text color and the link over, as you can see. For the headers, I didn't really change anything here. I also changed the typography, so that's why I needed to have the Pro Astra. So I'm editing here the font family. So I changed the size of each of the headings here. But as you can see, all the font family, font weight, and so on are all edited from the main, the base typography, which is base typography here. So I changed the regular text is going to be PT San Narrow. And the headings are all going to be Lato and bold and all uppercase. So that's why I don't need to change that on each and every different size of heading. So the only thing that I need to change in the headings themselves is the size of each of them. So 48, 20, and so on. So that's what I did first. And then I went to, I created my page. I'm going to recreate them with you. The stuff is going to still be in the page, but I'm going to recreate each element with you. So this is what we're going to build. Not all of that page. We're going to simply create that section here with a little heading here, 3 columns, that parallax effect with icons and so on, and that little section here with 3 columns and the media icons. So each theme, each page builder has different advantages and so on. So that's why I didn't want to build the entire page like this one, for example, with animations and so on, because not all of the page builder have all the same functionality. There's a slider here and so on. So that's why I'm building just that middle part here. I don't want that video to be too long as well. First thing that we can notice, all the page builders are activated at the same time. They play well together, no problem with that. I've also, by the way, activated Gutenberg. I don't know how we say that. Sorry, English is not my first language. So I've activated Gutenberg so that when WordPress 5 is released, we can see how it will behave. All the page builder will behave with Gutenberg. So I have one page made with Beaver Builder, Divi, Elementor, and Thrive Architect. So the order, I'm going to go with the ones that I prefer first. So I went with Elementor and Thrive Architect, which are those 2 tabs, then Divi, and then Beaver Builder. The first thing that we can notice is that both Elementor and Gutenberg, but let's go with Elementor. Shows really right away that this page is built with Elementor, so that's pretty easy to see. Also, when we mouse over some of them, you see that we have always the page builder with a gray dot. That is the builder from Beaver Builder. And as you can see here on that page, we have a green dot. That means that this page was built with Beaver Builder. So the ones that are not built with it are gray. So Beaver Builder, Thrive Architect, and for that one as well, Elementor. So Edit with Elementor, as you can see, are available. The difference is that Thrive Architects and Page Builder, which is Beaver Builder, in fact, are always available for any of them, while Elementor is only available for the one that is built with Elementor. So it's not a way to transform a page into Elementor. In other words, we need to go inside of it and say Edit with Elementor. That being said, Divi don't have anything. We need to go with the classic editor, because if we don't do that, it's going to be Gutenberg. So we need to go into the classic editor and then open the visual builder. So that's a little drawback here for Divi. Of course, Divi, there's a theme called Divi as well, which will work surely better with Divi Builder itself. But I just wanted to see how it is handled with Astra theme compared to the others. And I'm going to show you at the end as well a little comparison in terms of performance for each of them. So let's go with the Elementor here. Like I said, I have, of course, the free Elementor. I have installed Elementor Pro, but honestly, in this particular case, I don't need any of the features of Elementor Pro from memory. Maybe just that section here, maybe. Not sure. It might come from Elementor Pro, but I'm not sure. But I could have done that one by one, the icon, then the title, and the other text. So, but maybe that overall thing is from Pro. I'm not sure. I'm going to see it later on. And the parallax effects need to be done with another plugin called Elementor Extra. So there's no way to do parallax effects on Elementor by itself, even with the Pro version, for now anyway. So we're going to see that later on. All right, so the heading here is built directly. It comes directly from the theme itself. So this is how we work here with the builder. So let's go. I'm going to add another section on top of that one with the same content. So we can always add a new section here. That's usually the easiest way. But for now, since I have, well, I'm going to do it that way. Or we can just drag elements. By the way, if I drag an element here, it's going to add a section automatically. No, not in this case, since there's already some content. Sorry. I'm going to add one. Of course, usually you have that. You don't have any other content, so that's pretty easy to install. But I'm going to drag that at the top. All right, so that's a new section with only one column. So when I click here, I have the properties of the section. When I click on the gray icon at the left here, these are the properties for the columns themselves. Of course, I just have one column in this particular case, but as you can see here, we have 3 different columns in this one. And of course, the content itself, then I can click on the plus and I have all my elements here that I can drag and drop. This is really a drag and drop builder, by the way. One thing before I start with Elementor, I can come here and set some defaults. This is one of the things that I like about Elementor. I can set the default color for the text, for the secondary text, for the primary element, sorry, which is the links and so on. The text is here. And the accent when we make it bold or something like that. And we have some color palettes here that I won't use. So this can cause a problem, by the way, because it will overwrite the settings of the theme itself. So I had to come here and put the same color, things like that, because it will overwrite. There's no way to say no color. Well, I could clear here probably, and maybe, yeah, didn't try that. Probably if I do that, it's going to take the ones from the theme itself. Didn't even try it. Okay. We have the default fonts here. Again, I've put the same, but we could have used the default one. So So it's just that when I built it at first, I used it that way, but I could have used it this way. So sorry. Usually you don't have to do that. It's just that I want to make sure that I see how it works with the element that comes from the team. But as you can see, if the team doesn't give you that flexibility, like for example, if I use Astra free, I would have to come here and set those things. And this is one of the advantage, in other words, because Elementor allows me to do so for the entire page. Don't have to do that on a element by element basis. And also I have the color picker here. So these are the color that's going to appear when I click on the text, for example, and I want to change the color. So these are the colors that's going to appear in my little picker. So I can always change any color, but that's kind of a memory of all the colors that I use. Of course, you need to put them manually by simply clicking on them, but then they are available for all the page. Global settings, I could change the content width here if I wanted to. In fact, I think I'm going to do it. I think it was 1160. Sorry. With just space, can change a couple of things here. Lightbox, we won't need that in our case. Extra settings, that's because I have the extra plugin installed, so you don't usually have that. We also have some settings here, so the title of the page, the template, which, by the way, we have the Elementor canvas that comes with that. If we want to build a landing page, for example, we don't have to want to have the header and footer, so it allows us to do so. All right, so let's go with Thrive Architect. Same thing with Thrive Architect. Okay, so we do have, again here, a global settings. So this is for page event. We have the possibility to edit actually the HTML code. So of course that's a little dangerous because you need to make sure what you're doing. But it allows us sometimes to remove bad things or change some things. So that's a good thing that we have access to the HTML code. And custom CSS here for the entire page instead of element by element as we have, for example, in Elementor. Switch editor side will simply put that box on the other side. Template setup. I'm not using a template, but if I was building a landing page, I could choose a landing page template. Let me save that first, just to make sure. I could use, for example, in my case, I could use a blank one and start from there. And what that would allow me to do is, as you can see now, we have a lot more options in the landing page options. So it does a little bit like Elementor, but even better in a certain way. So we have the entire width of the page. We have the background style where we can put an image and so on. And what is really great here is the page text. I really like that new feature. And has been released not too long ago, where we can set the elements for the entire page here. For example, I want to have all my headings in capital, so I can click on any heading. I'm going to select all headings. So this is one of the best thing, by the way, about Thrive Architect as well. Those breadcrumbs here, where we can select things like that. So that's really cool. So I want to set all my headings at the same time. So I want to change the colors, let's say. I think it's going to be that one. And the font size, well, it's going to be different for each side, but let's say I want to put them all capital. And well, that's about it. Now I can change each of them. Oh no, that's true. I want to change the font family as well. So let's say by default it is the theme font, but let's say I want to have Lato, which is the one that we're going to use. And let's say in bold it's going to be like that. All right. Now let's say, for example, this one is going to be bigger, so we can change the size of each of them. From memory, it's going to be something like that, 20 and 45. I won't use that anyway, but just to show you how quick and easy that can be. And it is going to be set for the entire page as well. And regular text, regular paragraph, this one is going to be in let me remember, PT sans narrow. PT sans narrow. It's going to be 400 from memory. The size is 16. Yeah, that's good. So that will be the default text and hyperlink if I wanted to change the color of the hyperlinks here as well. And here we go. So that will be available for the entire page. That's really cool. Unfortunately, it's only available if I use a template, a landing page setting. So I'm going to revert to my theme because I don't want to use that. I want to have the same thing for everything. All right. Brings back my content. Now with Divi, there are a lot less options. So again, maybe I don't know all of them. But for the page itself here, the only thing that I saw is that little gear here that allows me to change the background, do some split testing, which is cool. I think that Thrive Architect allows me to do that as well. I can change the text, so the color of the text, but that's the only thing that I can change. And some CSS here that I need to put manually. So basically, a little bit of color. I can change my color palette, but not the text itself. So, and I can dock it when I use the Divi builder, but the Divi theme, sorry, but when I use just the Divi builder, looks like I cannot dock it to the left. So, for example, if I wanted to have all my my headings in capital like I have there, I need to type them in capital, which I don't like because it doesn't give me the flexibility to change it later on. Or I can, like I did, use Astra to do it, and it's going to take the settings from the theme. So that's why I needed to be to use Astra Pro. So maybe again there's something that I'm missing, but from what I saw, these are the only options that you have basically for the fonts and so on of the page. Same thing for Beaver Builder. Not a lot of options here regarding that. So the only thing that I saw, again, I'm not that used to Beaver Builder, but the only thing that I saw is the layout, and we don't want to put any code here. So the global setting here, but as you can see, pretty limited. The default page heading, whether we show it or not. Some default margin and the width of the page, so that's fine. And default margin between each module, each element if you prefer, and whether we enable or not different things for the responsive layout. And that's about it. So no choice for font, no choice for colors, and so on. Since I have Ultimate add-on for Beaver Builder, I have a couple of more settings here. So now I can change the primary color and the text color. And if I wanted to change for buttons, which is not my case, I have that option here. So I can change the default color, but that's only because I have Beaver Builder, and that's the only thing that I can do. Ultimate add-on, sorry, for Beaver Builder. But I cannot change the font and so on. So pretty limited, I feel, from for what I need compared to Elementor and Thrive Architect on this side. Okay, so I already imported a column or a new row here, a new section. So let's put my little header here. So I'm going to drag that one here, simply add your text there. I can add it here or inline, by the way. Both will work with Elementor. So about our company, and notice that I'm typing in lowercase here, as you can see. Always an H2 by default, so that's what I want. Already the right size, so everything is fine. So I can go directly with the other heading here. But what I'm going to do first, I'm going to drag some columns here. So I'm going to leave it like that. I could choose 3 columns, and especially if I had a new section here, I can choose the number of columns right away. In this particular case, I can just duplicate a column, but I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait for the content to be inside of it, so it's going to be easier to duplicate. So what I need, my heading here, who we are. This is going to be a heading 3. and some text like that. I'm going to simply copy that, and that's a text editor that I want. Paste it there, and this is, whoops, not on the right spot. I'm going to move it inside the column. Here we go. Now I want to delete that column because it's going to be faster to simply duplicate that one. So I'm going to move on top of that column here and duplicate it twice. Now we have our 3 columns, and we can change just the text here. What we do, and why us. So pretty fast to do that. I'm going to just delete that section because we have exactly the same thing here. If I want to have some spacing below that section, I'm going to select the sections first, advance, and I'm going to go, let's say, 50 pixels on the bottom. And that's about it. Now let's do the same thing with Thrive Architect. So Thrive, I don't necessarily need to have always rows and so on to put things. So first thing, I'm going to put my heading here. And you can see the little blue area here. It says above heading, below heading. And the side here is going to add a new column and so on. So it tells me where it's going to be added. So this one is going to be above the other one. And as you can see, there's no text element here because everything is, this one is docked now at the top, by the way. That's the new version. So everything, I simply type it here. That's a real inline editor as opposed to other ones. So if I want to change, for example, well, I'm going to do that, but if I want to center it, if I want to put a link, put it bold and so on, this is all here that we're going to do that. Now let's create our 3 columns. So to do that, I just take my columns here and put it below my heading. I'm going to choose 3 columns. And then I simply need to, I'm going to use the default settings, by the way, for most of it. So I'm going to simply drag and drop my thing here. I'm going to type who are we, who we are. Anyway, I think it's who we are. This is what I've put here. And this is going to be H3. So I simply need to select that, or don't really need to select it, and I'm going to put an H3 like that. Notice that H2 was not available. Now H3 is not available. That shows me that this is the current one. Now let's add a paragraph text. Below my heading, I'm going to paste my content, and it's as simple as that. And it inherits the fonts and so on from, and the colors from the theme itself. Now, all I need to do is simply, again, I could delete those and simply copy my column, by the way. And as you can see, I always have that breadcrumb that allows me to select the right thing. I don't think that I have any copy for the entire column, though, from what I can see. But anyway, I'm going to simply duplicate that 2 times. And then drag it in the other column. So that's pretty fast to do. Same thing for that text here. 2 copies, drag below my heading. So pretty fast to do. And just change my text here. What we do, and why us. And that's it. So again, I could delete those elements here if I wanted to, though it's not required. I'm going to save that, and let's see how to do something similar with Divi. Now Divi and Beaver Builder, let's be honest, I'm not as used to them as with the other 2, so might look for some things here and there. So here I have an overall section, so I'm going to do that here. Oh, this is load from library, sorry. So I'm going to add it under, but I'm going to drive it after. So regular section. This one, I need to start with 1 row, with 1 column, sorry. And I can specify right away what I want to have inside of it. Now, I didn't find any header. I don't think that there's any header available, so I need to put some regular text and transform that into an header inside of it. So about our company. And Divi doesn't allow me to put that in capital, change the font and so on. That's why I needed to do that with the advanced feature of Astro Pro. So here I just need to change that into heading 2. And that's about it. I'm going to simply drag and drop the entire section here. Okay. Oops. Looks like I didn't drag the right one. Let me undo that. That's a little bit strange, but anyway, let's see it. Here we go. Now I thought that it was taking the attributes from the theme because I have typed everything, and as you can see here, if I can, I think that's how we do that. It's all lowercase, but I just noticed that the reason is that I have created everything here about the headings and so on. So that's why it is capital letter in my example here. So it really doesn't enter it from the theme itself, which is really bad because now I have to do that all manually for each of them. And unfortunately, if I change something here, it doesn't change it for everything. It changes just for that particular element. So no, I'm not even sure that it's the right font. So let's first start by making it all caps. Seems to be the right font. Hopefully, it seems to be similar. So the only thing is that it's not in bold. And the size seemed to be the right one. Doesn't really need to change that. It seems to iterate it. But that's about it. I have the default? No, I don't have default. So it overrides the theme here for the font weight, and it overrides it for the all caps as well, unfortunately. All right, so let's go with another section because I don't think that we can add another, well, can add another row in that section here with my 3 columns here. And again, same thing, I will need to add my text. You can already feel that I'm not as comfortable. Who we are. This is going to be heading 3. But then again, I need to come here and change that no matter which one I choose. I think the font is alright, sorry. Need to put that in bold, need to put it all caps. And it looks like I need to change the size so it doesn't take the size into account. So that one seems to be the real size by default, but H3, as you can see, is not. So I really need to increase it. Alright. And from what I can see here, maybe it's not the right one as well because I saw 22, which is not the real font size. 26. Anyway, the real font size should be 20. So, okay. Now I need to add to that column another text. I think I still have it in my pasteboard. Here we go. And the color is not quite as well as you can see in the other page builder. The heading 3 is darker than the heading 2 and the regular text. So that also comes from the theme itself. So that means that Divi doesn't translate that, it overwrites it. So I would need to change that manually as well for the, don't remember exactly the color, but it's darker. So let's go with black. Oops, doesn't seem that it has taken it. Maybe I didn't do it on the right one. So you see, that's one of the problems that we are facing. So anyway, okay, so that one is all right. I'm gonna duplicate it, drag it into the other columns. Same thing here. Oops. You see, problem here. Undo. Fortunately, we do have an undo. So I can edit it online as well. What we do, and why us? So really not that comfortable with it, honestly. But it might just be me. All right, for the spacing, by the way, the space is really big, so maybe I could change that spacing. I used the default one for the others, but that's basically because it was the right size already. So sizing, no, not sizing, spacing. Let's see, it probably has something like 20 by default, so let's go with 0 here. Spacing, padding. So these are padding. So that should be not too bad. Let's leave it like that for now. Maybe just the row itself, because I don't want to do that for each of them. Let's go the top 0 if I do that. Okay, so let's something like 20. Not too bad. All right, save that. Now let's do the same thing with Beaver Builder. So Beaver Builder, I need to add a column here first. Then, well, I think I can do that maybe without adding the column, but anyway, I'm gonna add my heading to it. About our company. Strangely, looks like that if I select what is there and then do a tabulation, it doesn't write everything. So it does take it, but doesn't show it on the front end. So anyway, so this is an H3 by default instead of an H2. So let's put an H2 here. Now it does inherit from the main one. Perfect. Let's put our other row here in the same section, row with 3 columns. Let's add my heading, who we are, and it's already in H3 by default, so that's fine. Let's add a text editor to add our text. The spacing is a little bit bigger than what I want, so let's see. There's a 20 by default, so let's put 0 on top and bottom. That's pretty good. All right, so now let's duplicate that. I could edit the column, by the way, or I could edit the entire row. So let's drag that in the other one. Whoops, thought I did that twice, but it looks like not. I don't know why it scrolls always like that. I don't like that either. Looks like it always wants to have that on the top, but not always what I want. Okay. So again, just remind you that it might be me that doesn't know some things. So what we do, and I think that still doesn't support. Looks like this version anyway still doesn't support the inline editing. Why us? I'm gonna remove that one. Okay, I duplicated the wrong one. That's why. All right, so now let's delete that one and save. So not too bad. Okay, next section. That section here with the background parallax effect with icons. This is not a real counter. At least we won't add any. We do have some contours with some page builder, but it's going to be simply numbers in this case and little text underneath it. So let's try to do the same thing with our page builders. So in this particular case here, there's going to be another row. So I'm going to add a new section here. One row, one column, sorry. Let's drag that at the top. So this is maybe one of the disadvantage of Elementor. We cannot add a row just underneath it, like for example we can do in Divi. So that might be a little bit annoying, but usually we go from top to bottom, so that's not as big an issue. All right, so I need to have a full width row. So let's select my section. I'm going to select stretch section so that the content can go all the way to the each side, because if I don't do that, let's show you how it will look like. So let's go into style. Everything that we need to style is in style. Let's go with classic. I'm going to use an image here. This image. Okay. So don't worry, that's because of the other one that I have under here. So let's just for now put margin bottom so that we can see the difference between the two. So here's the one that I'm adding. All right, so it already takes the full width by default. Don't have to do that. Okay, that's perfectly fine since I added the background to the entire section. My mistake. All right, so we have one row here. I want to have 4 columns inside of it, so I could have done that directly, but I'm going to create just one and duplicate it again, so that's going to be easier. Let's see, I think that we do have an element here that already has the icon and the text inside of it. Of course, I can build it one by one. Let's see, icon box here. It's in general elements, so you don't need to have Elementor Pro to do that. That's what I wasn't sure. All right, so here's my icon box. So the view, different view here for the icon itself. So the default view is the one that I want. I'm going to choose the icon. It's going to be file O. So let's type that. My title and description in my case is going to be simply the number here. So 297 and insert benefit here. So I think I'm going to type it all caps because I'm not sure that I think that we do have the option here for the content itself, the description, the typography. Yeah, I could come here and make it all caps. So let's do that. I prefer to do it that way when I can, because it allows me to change my mind later on if I want to. So not all page builder will allow me to do that. Insert text benefit. Sorry, benefit here. So that's an H3 by default. It's gonna be fine. I think it's gonna need to be a little bit bigger though. Primary color for the icon. See, I use that color in my color picker, so that's the color that I need. The spacing, all right, but I can change the spacing here. Can change the size of the icon, which is already the right size, by the way. So, which is about 60. So I'm going to leave it without any number. Not exactly 60, maybe. Let's see. Well, yeah, no. It's not exactly, it's probably around 50, so I'm going to put it manually. Okay, again over if I want to have an effect, which is not my case. The content, so the alignment here, make sure everything is aligned to the center. The spacing, which was already the case by the way. The title spacing, don't need that. I want to change my color. And same thing for my description. I want to change the color of the description. And I want to change the size of the description as well. It seems to be too small. I think it was something like 18. but I'm not sure. Let me see that one. 18 and bold. Okay, so that's the only thing that I'm missing here, the bold. Weight, bold, or I could say 700. That's probably the size of it. All right, so it's exactly like I want it to. Since it's one block, I can easily duplicate it after, but I'm going to duplicate the entire column 4 times, like that. Then I can just come here and change my elements, so pretty fast. So user 34. Then this one here is going to be gear 632, and the last one, I always forgot, adjust. Always forgot the name of that one. 54. All right. So now maybe I want to have some spacing here, so I can do that to make it a little bit bigger. Well, I can say, I don't remember what it was, but I do have a minimum height, so that's what I'm going to use. Minimum height of 274. So let's do it that way. This is one of the cool feature again of Elementor. So minimum height of 274. We have the same thing in Thrive Architect. We're going to see content position by default in the middle. So that should be fine. Seem to still be a little smaller. I guess that I do have some margin here. No. Okay. Maybe my mistake. Anyway. Okay. Now, one thing that I need to do again is to make that image here, that background image, parallax. I think I forgot to enable that. So in order to be able to do that, I need to have Elementor Extra install, which is not a free plugin. So let's do it that way. When we scroll, seems to be all right. So it's based on the overall page. So of course the page is not as tall as the original one, so it's going to be a little bit different, but not too bad. By the way, you see a little save icon here. So we can save that section in the library and reuse it over and over again. So that's really cool. For example, I did a form at one. That's one of the cool features of Elementor Pro as well. You can create forms. So I saved it and I reused it. Well, actually, it was not a section like that. It was a global section. Another cool thing about Elementor, we can create a global, something global here. So if we create a global element, like in my case it was a form, then we reuse it in many places. It's still global, it's still linked to the original one. So if I change it, it's going to be changed everywhere. So that's one of the cool things. You need to have Elementor Pro to have access to that though. Alright, so that section is done. Let's try to do the same thing with Thrive Architect. So in this particular case, I need to have a background section. That's one of the tricky thing about Thrive Architect. If you want to have something that takes the entire width, the full width, you need to use a background section. So once you knew it, that's not too bad, but the first time I didn't know that. So background section here, I'm going to use my image here. Choose an image. Okay, I'm going to stretch and I'm going to click apply. Don't really need to do that, but anyway, I'm going to stretch to fit the screen width. The maximum width of the content, looks like I forgot to put it, but it's supposed to be 1160. Sorry, not 80. Okay, so great. Again, maybe I'm going to put some spacing below it, and that's one of the cool things that I like about Thrive Architect. I can just click and drag and see in real time. That's pretty cool. And of course, I can still type it if I wanted to here, for example, went a little bit too big. So that's really, really cool. That's the quickest one of all the 4 page builders and all the other builders that I tested as well. All right, so now there's no block like we have in Elementor. So first of all, what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring my columns here, and now I have a hard time. Below background section doesn't want to go inside of it, so let's do it like that. Let's bring it back. Here we go. Was a little bit hard the first time. Okay, I have my 4 columns. And like I said, I cannot duplicate a column, unfortunately. And I don't have like an Elementor a module that has the 3 elements inside of it. So I will need to build them one by one. But it's going to be a little bit longer if I wanted after that to copy each of them and then drag them overall. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use what we call a content box, which is simply a div. So that then I will be able to duplicate that entire content box. So that's a good thing. All right, so now let's use the icon. Put it there. Add the icon. File. Open. Already 60, already it's the right size, not the right color though. So, by the way, the color that I have here, that's because of that little plus button here. So once I use a color, I can add it to my favorites. So this way they're going to be always available here. And of course I can choose any color in the picker above. Alright, so now this one is right. I'm going to drag a heading. Whoops, it was not in content box. Here we go. So my heading here, which is simply 297, which is heading 3, centered. And I'm going to change the color to be white. All right, and finally I'm going to use my, well, I think it was heading again, but not sure. I can simply say paragraph, doesn't really matter here. Below. So insert benefit here, fit here. So let's say if I do it like that instead of a heading, I can still center it, of course. Let's see, now it's PT and narrow, of course. So that's simply because that's a paragraph. So let's say that I want to use Lado instead. I should have used the header, but anyway, just so that you can see that we can control everything here. I can put all caps. And I'm going to put it white. I think it's not the right size. Here we go. I want to have 18 instead. And I'll need to have it bold. Here we go. Like I said, I should have used the heading, but anyway, it does the same thing. All right, now I can simply copy my content box and drag it over there. And here we go. That's really easy. Change my file here. User. My icon, let's say. 34. This one now, which is... don't seem to call it gear, by the way. There it is. $632, and finally that one here, which is adjust, I think was the name. Oh, there it is. $54. And I forgot my parallax because we don't have the term parallax in Thrive Architects, but it does the same thing. When I come here to my background, if I click on that, we have the static background image. So when I do that, it keeps the image there, so it does the same thing as parallax, in fact. Okay, so let's delete that one. Here we go. So another section done. Now in Divi, oof, that one was harder, honestly. I'm gonna add another section here. Oh, no, not a new row, another section underneath that one. It's gonna be, well, I can put a 4-column right away. And let's see, let's try to change that here. Background, it's gonna be an image. And that was probably one of the easiest to add the parallax effect. Okay, so this is a good thing here. Just toggle that parallax effect here. But for the elements, as you can see here, I never found any way to put an icon. So I know that with the booster, the Divi booster, we're supposed to be able to have icons. So I don't know why I don't have any icon by default. And I know that in the settings I can add manually icons, but that's not really cool. If I need to go inside the web and add icons manually, don't like that really much. So I won't use icons in this case, but I could probably search for that. So I'm going to add a new text module, which is going to be simply my 297. This is going to be, let's keep it at heading 3 like it's supposed to be. But I will need to come here and change, well, default font should already be the right one. Let's put that in bold, all caps. Well, it's all caps by default, even though it doesn't change anything here, and 45 pixel. And again, as you can see, I need to do that for each and every of them, which is not really cool. Let's use the white color. Here we go. Let's add another one. Whoops, sorry. Fit here. Let's see it like that. Let's say that it's going to be, I don't know, heading 4. We'll see what we need to change. It's going to be already the right font. Let's put that in bold. Let's put that in all caps. The size I think was 18. So just need to put a color. Here we go. Now that one doesn't seem to be centered. So I guess there's a way to center the entire column. Am I editing the... Oh, wow. Okay. Don't know how to edit the... Can I do that? No, this is just for the... Okay, now I'm stuck. I don't know how to edit just the column here, because that is should be the text itself. So anyway, I'm gonna do it manually like that. So maybe there's a better way to do it, but let's do it like that for now. And again, don't see any control for the columns, so maybe if I toggle that, I don't know if it's gonna be easy. So no, don't see what I want to see. Don't know why, but anyway, okay. Looks like I'm gonna need to do it manually. So not my best experience, but then again, I might be the one that doesn't know how to do that. But I know that for the icons, maybe there are some that are supposed to come with it. I don't know. But really need Divi Booster. All right, so I forgot to change those. So I think it was something like 36. Anyway, doesn't really matter. 654 or I don't know, 650 something, and then 54 here. Oops. Let's see. 34, 632, 54. Okay, we'll really need always to validate. That's pretty annoying because if I don't validate, it doesn't change. Um, this one was 632. See how annoying it is? And I think it was 56 from memory. Okay, now if I drag it the right way, I can edit it right away. All right, so another one that is done. And we're almost an hour long already. So now this one was pretty strange, honestly, to work with. Let's see, I want to have a four column layout here. I want to have a full width, but the content still fixed. The background is going to be, we have the choice between a photo and a parallax. So I want to have the parallax. And select the photo here. But if it does the same thing as it did before, no, it doesn't seem to be that bad. But as you can see here, for the one that I did previously, I don't know what happened. But as you can see, kind of takes the background on the wrong place. I don't know why, but we need to scroll in order to see the background. So this one is not that bad. Looks like it's going to be better. Okay. Now let's go with the different module. Again, don't think that there's the module that I want right out of the box. Icon group could be used for the social icons below. I think that we have something here in the ultimate add-on. Though I'm not 100% sure. What is image icon? It's just an icon. Or we do have the text with it. No, we don't. Doesn't seem. Alright, so let's see. I don't see it. So let's do as if I don't have it. I don't see any content box like we have in Thrive Architect as well. So let's do everything manually. Oh, whoops, no editing in this case. Icon, that's what I want. So icon here. Select the icon. Now we have different libraries. I know that it's a font awesome, so maybe it's going to be faster if I do it like that. File. Oh, I didn't notice that there was some text. Where does it appear? To the right side. Ooh. We have any choice here about that? And this is for mobile. Like I said, I don't know those as much, but I don't see they are less intuitive. That's what I find about Divi and Beaver Builder. I don't find them as intuitive as a Thrive Architect and Elementor, on which I didn't do any formation or training or anything. So that's why I say that these are way less intuitive than the other ones are. So let's see, size of the icon here. Alignment will be centered. And what about the colors? So the color here. So color preset, I have saved them as well. So we can save them in the favorite by adding them here. So I had already done that. Now, as you can see, as soon as I put it bigger like that, now I'm starting to have problems with my background. So I'm going to have the same problem as below, looks like. Okay, so let's put a heading. It was to, I don't know, 97, I think. Doesn't really matter. Alignment center. And insert benefit here. So this is going to be an H. Well, if I say H4, I think it's going to inherit the color. So it's not exactly that, but anyway, I can always change it. So font size, I think it's not the right size. So let's pay 18. Let's put it white. Centered. This one's gonna need to be white as well. Looks like I forgot it. So we will probably not see them though when I scroll. The spacing is way too big, so let's try to lower it down. So let's keep the top here. If I remove the bottom, that's about it, because I still have some top on the other one. That should do it. All right, so now we'll probably need to duplicate them manually. Wow, don't know why it always scrolls like that. So not as a pleasing experience, to be quite honest. You will I've probably already guessed that my two favorites are Beaver, not Beaver, but Thrive Architect and Elementor. My personal favorite, to be honest, in a certain way, is Thrive Architect because I feel that's the one that gives me the most options. For example, absolute positioning and things like that. But Elementor has the most elements, the most module inside of it, and we can add many more by buying some or even some free that we can have externally from other developer. So that's the one that has the most element. But Thrive Architect is the one that has the most flexibility. So I guess it's going to depend on the project which one I'm going to use. All right, so let's change the icon here. So this time it's going to be user. Now here for the number, I don't remember which one it was and cannot really see it. Something like 32, I think. But anyway. All right. And yes, it is tedious. So if you feel that's a little bit long by watching the video, I feel that long as well. Because these are harder, longer to do. And Beaver Builder is not fast. I can tell you that. Whoops, looks like it's not responding. Here we go. So the latest version is supposed to be more faster, but still a lot slower than all the other ones. Just so something like 54, something like that. All right, so let's delete that one. Here we go. Whoops, forgot that when I do that, it actually goes out. All right. All right, so let's build that last section here. So I think that the fastest way, I'm going to again insert a new section, by the way, first of all. And I'm going to drag above. And I'm going to simply copy what I have here, this one. Of course, I could copy what I already have, but it won't be like in real life. So let's copy that one and let's copy that one because they are exactly as we want them to be. Well, to be honest, I think that's the default look anyway. So we could have simply insert a new one. Get to know us. And meet our superstar team. Here we go. Now, inside of that section, I can drag columns. And again, I could create my 3 columns right away, but I want to simply create 1 column and then duplicate it. So let's do the first image. Select that. Can center it. It's already by default. And then let's put our heading for John Watson from memory. John Watson. And this is going to be heading 4. So Elementor doesn't inherit the color because of the, as we saw previously, the default color and so on. So I'm going to simply change the color for that specific one. Then I have some text here. I'm going to copy and paste that one. Oops. So regular text. And finally the icons. I think we do have a social icons element. Let's see. Let's do it the fast way. Social icons. Here we go. And again, this is not in Elementor Pro from memory. Let's see. Here we go. General elements. So don't need to have the Pro to do that again. All right. So Facebook, Twitter, Google+. These are the 3 that I want. You can change the style to be rounded, square, or circle. I want them to be circle. Of course, you can change a link and so on, which I won't do. I want them to be left align. I can have the official color or custom colors. So I wanted to have a custom color in my case. Primary is the background colors. So let me just get the colors. Don't remember them by heart. So let's see the background color here. And the top color is, well, probably not exactly black. I can use my color that we already determined, but anyway. Let's see, what's the real color? 333. So secondary color is in fact the color of the icon. The, well, yeah, the icon on top of it. So the size, I think it was something like 32 or something like that. that's about it. Spacing is a little bit bigger than that, so something like that. By the way, Elementor Thrive Architect, really easy to switch between desktop, tablet, and mobile view to be able to change some things. So both of them really good on that. Beaver Builder, Divi, not that good. So if I switch to, for example, the tablet view, and I want to change something, really easy to do so. What I change there is going to be only for the tablet. And also, as you can see, every time you see little icons like that, that means that you can click and switch different sizes for different screen size. So that's for Elementor. As for Thrive Architects, when you see a view, it only targets that view. So it won't interfere with what you put in the other view. Alright, so my icons are there, everything is alright. So what I need to do now is simply duplicate that column twice. Here we go. Change my image. Change my text here. Julie Waters. And change the last one here. From memory, it was David Wall. And that's it. Our last section is done in Elementor. It was fast. Let's do that in Thrive Architect now. Similar again. So those two don't need to be in a section like I already mentioned. So again, I could copy, but let's drag simply another heading here. Above that heading, get to know us. And another one here, meet our superstar team. And this will need to be an H3. Alright, so let's delete those. Now I need to have my 3 columns below that one. And again, I can use a content box. It's going to be easier to copy that after. I'm going to put my image in the first one. By the way, one of the other cool thing about Thrive Architect, if you use something really often, you can always pin it at the top, as you can see here, in your favorites. Oops, sorry, looks like, here we go. So I can always pin it, and we can have all our preferred ones pinned at the top, so that they are more accessible, faster. Alright, so now let's see, I need to have my heading. Below image. John Watson. It's an heading 4. Already the same color, the red color. So inherits from the theme. Here, the paragraph. Oops. Could change the line height maybe. Something like that. Then the icons. So these are not all different icons. Social share. Okay, it's called social share. Here we go. So yeah, remember now. These are share buttons, but you can see here we have the 3 types. We can use the icon only, icon and text, or counter. So if I choose icon only, then I will have those icons. We have different styles here. I'm going to keep the default. Cannot change the color in this one as opposed to Elementor, unfortunately, but for the rest, everything is pretty much the same. Let's put it a little bit bigger. I think it was something around 30. Cannot modify the space here because that's the pace of the overall component. Oops. So I would need to do that through advanced CSS, manual CSS, I guess. Okay, so by the way, Twitter is supposed to come first, so I can always click and drag that. Here we go. Okay. So maybe a little bit too much space. I can diminish that like that. All right. This is what I like. Oops, looks like they are not inside my content box. Don't know what happened. But I can simply drag and drop it inside of it. Below heading, below paragraph text. Now they are all in my content box. Oops, looks like I did the opposite. I moved that one. So pretty tired, sorry. My mistake. Let's move it below image. Okay, now they are. They are all right. Sorry, I didn't click the right place. Okay, like I said, pretty long video. So let's do that. Move that one there. Move that one there. Select the image, change the image. Change the text. Julie Waters. Change that one. David Wall. So as you can see, like I said, the fastest, I think, and most complete is Thrive Architect, but the one that comes with the most component is Elementor. So I have some text here. Here we go. So the Thrive Architect version is done. The Elementor version is done. So now let's go with Divi. So let's add another section here. It's gonna be, well, first of all, one, because of those titles here. In this particular case, I'm gonna do a copy because I know that they're different. So am I copying the right thing? Yeah. Okay, let's move that down. Not always that evident to know if we are on the right spot. Don't know about you, if you're used to Divi, but sometimes I'm not sure that I'm at the right spot. Okay, seems to be alright. Okay. Get to know us. Meet our superstar team. Okay, so now let's section with the 3 columns. So let's add to that row 3 columns. It's going to be first of all an image. then I'm going to add to it a text. John Waters. This is going to be heading 4, even though it will not inherit it from my main theme. So again, needs to change things here. Capital, font size is the right one, and I'm not sure that it's the right color, but I think so. Close anyway. My text. I hope it's still on my pasteboard. Yes, it is. Too much space here. Gonna change that. Spacing. Here we go. And finally, for the icons, well, again, don't know how to add them, so I will not be able to add them. Like I said, I can probably import them manually with the Divi booster, but don't want to do that. So again, I cannot select, well, I don't know, I should say, how to select my, by the way, we have the view here for the different screen size. I had a mistake here, but I know that in Beaver Builder we don't have it. So it looks like I'm going to need to duplicate things one by one. Let's move them. It's not that bad, but of course I would have preferred to be able to do all of them at once. Now, of course, to be honest, Divi is not the most lightweight, but it's going to be pretty close, pretty lightweight. But we need to take into account that we don't have all the images that we have in the others. Whoops, forgot to change my image here. So let's change that. I think I made a mistake here. I think it was Julie Water, but anyway. And it's John Watson. Something like that. Watson. Anyway. Not important at all. David Wall. And here we go. Page done. Well, what we want to do at least. All right, now let's do that with Beaver Builder. I'm gonna add a new row. Didn't test if I could do that without adding a row, by the way. So again, I think it takes by default. So maybe we don't have to copy that, but let's do it anyway. And this one as well. So about a company, which will be turned into Get to Know Us and Meet our superstar team. Now, 3-column row. At least we can be in the same section. Image. From Media Library. Centered, everything is fine. Heading below that. I do not like those lines though that show us where we are. John Watson. Don't want that to be in all caps. Style H4, and yeah, it does take the color into account. Text editor, my lorem ipsum code. Too much space here, so let's put that down a little. Not enough. Still too much. Let's see. Here we go. I like it better. Closer to the original one. Alright, so now let's go with our icon group. Is that the best one? Okay, here I use another one. I think it's called the social something. Not social buttons here. But let's see. Maybe the icon will be better. So if I select Facebook, gonna use that one. Color. Why don't we see anything? Okay, now we see it. Of course, pretty ugly. Just wanted to make sure that we can see it. So, okay, so the color is the background color, which is a shade of gray. Pretty light gray. Don't want to lose any time on that. The background color. Well, we don't have any background color. So the background color is the same thing. In other words, the F is transparent here. So, might not be able to have what we want. Now, okay, need to save that, duplicate it, and change the icon. Okay, let's do it that way. Alignment is going to be to the left. Size, well, supposed to be 30, but pretty clear that they don't have the same thing here. So it's about that one. No spacing on top. Okay, so that's about it. I could have changed the color here all at once, I guess. So anyway. So don't need that one. I think that the other one is better. Okay, let's duplicate our elements. I really don't like that it scrolls like that. Find that really strange. Hmm. What happened here? Went back to what it was. Okay. Strange. Maybe I didn't save it. Anyway, it's late here. Okay. Change my image. Change my text. There's one more to do. And the wall. Here we go. Done. So, I hope it gave you a pretty good idea of the different page builder. Now let's take a look at the performance. Really depends, of course. I can reload it 5 times and it's going to be different the 5 times. So it's not an absolute science here. The first one is the one that was made with Elementor, so performance grade of 98 with tools.pingdom.com. 98, 1.27 load time, and 672 page size, 28 request. Thrive Architect, 96, 732, page size a lot lower. The first time that I tested it was the opposite. It was about twice the size of Elementor. So like I said, really depends. Not always the same thing. Divi, 98, 108, 451, so pretty close, but of course we need to take into account that there's no image in this case. So yes, it could be number 1 in this particular case. It was number 2 in my previous test, but again, there's no images. And finally, Beaver Builder, that one is pretty big, pretty big, pretty slow. So don't know what happened with this one, but not a good experience with Beaver Builder. Never liked that one. As you can see, performance really bad as opposed to the others, which is 1B and Alt A. Then this one, 1C, but Alt B and A, and Alt A for Elementor. Now let's see what GT Matrix. 9684, 2.4 seconds, 661. So 9684, 9684 for Thrive Architect as well. Similar time and size. 9887 for Divi. Again, the first time that I did some testing, this one was first, Divi was second. No, in this particular test, Thrive was second, but in the tools pingdom, it was Divi that was second. And I did the Beaver Builder testing a lot later on, so cannot really compare. But as you can see here, the Y slow, really bad again. So don't know what's happening with Beaver Builder, but really not my tool of choice. So anyway, hope this has helped you to make the difference between all of those page builder. Of course, like I said, that's my personal opinion, that's my personal experience, but just to guide you a little bit. So have a good day. Thank you. Don't forget, by the way, subscribe, comment, tell me what you like, what you don't like. So have a good day.